It's my absolute delight to meet you, Carly Steele. How are you?
I'm good, enjoying London. My 48 hours in London.
So what are you doing here?
I'm here for Mordecai.
Especially for the premiere?
Yes.
Wow, and where are you going after this?
After this, I'm going to LA tomorrow for the LA premiere, which I'm also covering and, doing press for because I'm in the movie. And then the next day I go to Sundance to cover it for ET.
Oh, wow. So what was it like working with Johnny Depp? That's probably what we all want to know, right?
It's what I wanted to know. Johnny's awesome. He's everything you'd imagine. He just comes on set in the character. He's ready to go. He does it in very few takes, needs very few directions, very little direction. And is excellent, and it's just, I learned a lot just from watching him. He's also a really nice guy. He's quite quiet, he's quite shy.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know him, he's very lovely.
Yeah, so would you say this is one of your most humblest experiences, working with celebrity?
Working with that cast was very humbling and intimidating. My first day on set, Steven Spielberg was there because the director, David Koepp, wrote Jurassic Park and has collaborated with him in a number of projects. So Steven was there on set to watch David direct. And then I met, Johnny, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ewan McGregor, Paul Bettany.
Amazing.
It's such an incredible cast, so it was definitely very intimidating.
So the list goes endless. So what made you come to Hollywood to find your fame? Because you're actually a Brit.
I am a Brit. Don't let the twang fool you. The McYankee. I grew up in Scotland. I read law at Durham University. And then after that, I lived in New York for a year, worked at Vogue magazine as an assistant. And then transitioned to LA and started hosting and became an on-air presenter.
Wow.
And everything's gone from there. It hasn't been a meteoric rise. It's definitely been a slow burn. One step has led to another.
Yeah.
One job has led to another. And, in terms of why did I go to LA? Easy. The weather.
So tell me, Collie, was this what your aspiration and dream was, to become a presenter, or did you just fall into it?
My aspiration was definitely not to become a presenter. In fact, when I was at the Edinburgh Festival, I was entered into a couple of acting competitions, and then my school entered me into the television news reading competition just as a sort of favorites of the festival. If we're doing the acting, they wanted us just to participate.
Yeah.
And I did well in the acting competitions, but I'd never done any sort of TV presenting, and I did horribly. In fact, I was last, and the woman wrote on the scorecard, does not have a career.
Oh my God.
In presenting, really, really bad. So it's never been something I wanted to do. It was just when I went to Vogue, I started interviewing people, and I found I had actually a skill in interviewing. It blends law with acting and then working at the magazine more than actually reading off the teleprompter and presenting. That's something I've had to work really hard to learn to be good at, because I started as a correspondent, developed that, got a lot of work as an interviewer, and then had to learn how to anchor. So
it's a really different role, but you've actually progressed in it really well.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between presenting and acting, what would you do?
I think the nice thing about, nowadays is you don't have to choose. I think before you absolutely couldn't do both, but I think a lot of actresses, in fact Olivia Munn, who's in the movie Mordecai, she was a television presenter and transitioned into being an actress.
Okay.
It's becoming more and more common to try your hand at different things. Cara Delevingne, she's doing modeling.
Yeah.
She's contributing to a magazine, she's doing acting. I think that, it's a sort of era of the Renaissance now, where you can do many things.
So what would you say to someone like yourself who's, started off, went to LA, wanted to find her dream? What advice would you give to the average girl?
God, don't do it. It's really, really hard. You've got to be prepared. You've got to have a really strong foundation. I'm lucky I've got very supportive parents, but if you don't have that around you, I imagine it would be really, really, really tough to stay grounded, to stay focused, to stay strong. There's the highs and the lows, and the higher you go, the lower you can go, which I think a lot of people don't realize. You're always, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you're always competing for that top job. You're always competing for that role, and it's heartbreaking when you don't get something you want. It's just more rejection. You need to learn to accept more rejection than not being rejected. It's just the highs have got to be worth the lows for you.
They say, you know, it's very cliche, you go to LA and you sort of like find your dreams and all your dreams come true in LA. Would you say that's your motto in terms of being inspirational?
I've always felt an affinity towards Los Angeles, and when I got there, I really felt like it was home. I felt like I'd been there in a past life or something. It was just something
amazing.
I felt energetically was a good place for me, and it's somewhere that even when I travel the world for my work, I look forward to going back to, and that's why I know it's home. Of course, I miss my friends in the UK, and I miss the culture. I miss Jaffa cakes.
Jaffa cakes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
me, of course.
And you, Cadbury's buttons. But I think that you know, LA, like, I knew I'd be part of it in some way in entertainment, and I think to a certain extent I'm still finding my way. You know, I started producing as well, and
wow, yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, I've created my own
on?
pilot, which I just shot. It's a movie travel show which I'm hosting and producing. And I think you've got to now be a bit of a self-starter. In the digital age, you can create your own content.
Absolutely.
Create your own work. Hire yourself. There's been so many hosts, girlfriends of mine who no one would hire, so they just created their own show. And now they're on TV more than people who are like, you know, were the top hires.
Amazing.
So I think you've got to just go out and make it happen for yourself and be tenacious.
Well, I think that's a wonderful way and a great aspirational way to think of things. As Curvaceous Inc., it's really about empowering the women, celebrating our curviness, whether we are size 8 or we are size 24. And, you know, that's the reason why we wanted to interview you, because we saw that, you know, you're British. But you're a beautiful petite, you know, but you have the shape of a perfect woman, you know, as did Marilyn Monroe. So let's not forget, you know, this is what it's all about, being inspirational as a woman, and obviously being a Brit. You know, I mean, how do you feel that the British, you know, how do they receive you in the media, knowing that you're a Brit, you made it in LA?
I think people are confused because I don't sound very British anymore. I was kind of mid-Atlantic, and I had to go one way or another, and the network I was hosting for about 4 years was like, you might as well just go American. You know, middle America understands a little better. Having said that, being British is obviously very chic, and there are times when people want me to go British. When I covered the royal wedding, a couple of outlets were like, can you Brit it up? Which I think is really funny. I think Americans have a huge affinity to Brits, especially with William and Kate. They love them. Yeah. The whole royal wedding and the royals culture. And I think, you know, the two countries are quite symbiotic, I think. And Brits, I mean, this is the year of the Brit. I mean, look at the Oscar nominations. You've got Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch, just all these huge incredible,
British,
you know, Brits just taking over.
And what are your plans when you go back to LA?
Well, it's award season in LA, so of course my favorite shoots to do are the live red carpet shows, the Grammys, the Oscars, the SAG Awards. I just did Critics' Choice, and
what was that like?
Great. It was fun. I mean, it's like, I don't really celebrate New Year's Eve because it's like having New Year's Eve every night for 2 months when you go back to LA, and you don't want to. Everyone's like, oh, do you want to dress up for New Year's Eve? I'm like, listen, I've got to find 100 dresses. The last thing, I just want to sit and watch a DVD on New Year's Eve. Like, it's just so much. It's overwhelming, and a lot of parties.
Well, it's been so nice to catch up with you finally. Thank you so much, Carly.